Alright, today we're going to talk about transitions. So basically, a transition is something you actually do every single day. You transition from your classroom to another classroom, you transition from class to specials, you transition from specials to back to class, and to recess and lunch. Basically, a transition is taking you from one thing to another, kind of like this bridge. A transition is like a bridge. It connects you from one idea to the next. Now, as you're watching this video, be listening for different keywords in this presentation that will help you fill in some of the random blanks, because I'm not necessarily going to show you where to write every single blank, but you have to listen very carefully too. So basically, just to repeat that, transition words help the reader move from one idea to the next. And again, transition words are basically kind of like idea bridges that connect everything together. Okay, before we keep going, the number one rule to know is that any single time you have a transition word or a phrase, you need to make sure that you add a comma after that transition word or phrase. So I've given you a chart here divided up into 7 different sections. There are many, many more transitions than you see listed here today, but this is just kind of a starter for us. So the first section is to add information. So if I have a paragraph and I'm giving you, like my favorite sport is roller skating, I might add more information by using some of these transitions, such as I really love to roller skate. For example, I like to glide across the floor. So there's all sorts of different transitions that we can use here today. And then I want you to go ahead and add one more to the list here today. So the next one that you're going to add is the word additionally. Now, what I mean by adding a comma after every single one is when I wrote additionally, I'd have a comma after it. All of these would have a comma afterwards in my writing, okay? The next section that we have is to conclude or summarize. Conclude means it would go towards the end of your writing. So sometimes instead of saying, we start off a lot of our conclusions with I hope or I wish. You can also start using some of these types of transitions into your writing. And then another one that I want you to add into the conclude or summarize one is the phrase to sum up. Okay? To sum up. All right? Sorry, that looks kind of weird, but it's actually 3 different words to sum up. The next category is to show a difference. If I am talking about one topic and then I'm switching ideas, that would be showing a difference. For example, I love to roller skate. However, I also love to sing and dance. Or I love to draw pictures. On the other hand, I also love to build sculptures. Okay? And the one that I want you to add to this one is on the contrary. On the contrary. And I'll go ahead and spell contrary for you. It's CONTRARY. Then the next section is emphasize a reason. Now, if you remember from thinking of our answer choices with questions, emphasize means to show. So I'm trying to show a reason. Going back to, and it's kind of similar to adding information. Those two are kind of very similar with my roller skating one. I like to roller skate. To emphasize, I like to glide across the floor. So another one that you can add to this section is in fact. And that's basically another transition for that category. Then the next one is show time. This is really popular to be used in fiction, any type of story that you're writing, or maybe if you are giving instructions, such as maybe a recipe. These might be some important ones to use, such as first, second, later, until, meanwhile, before, soon, afterward, immediately, then. And you can go ahead and add later. That's the last one for that section, like later that day, later I went to the store, basically showing kind of a span of time. The next one is show a similarity. So instead of showing a difference, you are saying, I also like this, or I like soccer, I also like playing football. You're basically showing kind of a similarity in sports with that one. So you could do it different ways. And then the one that I want you to add for that one is similarly. SIMILARLY. Then the last section is to clarify an understanding. That's basically what it means is you're trying to help the reader understand what you mean. So for example, when I use in other words, if I said, I love to play football, I might say, in other words, most Americans call that soccer. Or I like to play soccer. To put it another way, many people in other countries call it football. Okay? So it's basically clarifying and understanding to someone. And then the one that you can add to this one, actually pretty easy. It's just to clarify. Okay? So again, the reason why there is a bridge over here is just a little visual reminder that transitions are a bridge from one thought to the next. In this last section here, this first question, I want you to circle the transition word that you see in this sentence. And then for fill in the blank, I want you to choose between these three answer choices which transition should go here. Notice I already put the comma here for you. And then this piece is basically you showing proof. I know this because it shows. And that's kind of going back to that all the categories of transitions you have up above you. And depending on which transition you choose here is your proof of because it shows time, because it clarifies understanding, or because it shows a difference. And that's I was basically just helping you with your proof on this one. When you're finished, make sure your name is on this and go ahead and turn it into the basket, please.